Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Grant lovers. Welcome to Good Morning, Grant Lovers live talk show. Today is April 1st. My name is Mirka. We are broadcasting this show from Montessori Institute Prague, and it's episode 5 of series 2 of the Good Morning, Grant Lovers. I have my coffee. I am going to turn on the screen on Instagram as well. And here we go. We can start the fun. So I hope that you are going to get pranked by somebody today. We did a little prank on our social media on Montessori Institute Prague Facebook. If you want to go over there and have a look, I think we need, as my colleague Plamena says, a pinch of humor in our lives. And so we always like to laugh and always like to make fun and have little joy together in our team. So we invite you to do that because today is April 1st and that is an International Joke Day, or something we call an April Fool's Day. And actually, to share something personal, it's my daughter's birthday today as well. So it's a happy day for our family, and we already had a little morning celebration. My husband just texted me a couple of photos. We made tiramisu last night, and then of course my daughters got up really early and they ran to the kitchen to eat tiramisu for breakfast. So what do you call a man with a rubber toe? Are we going to be making jokes? Oh, we could do that. It's true. I haven't thought about choosing this occasion to actually make jokes about grant money. That would take me a little bit to think about some jokes related to grant money, Roberto. Roberto. Yes. Thank you for sharing that one. Those are the dead kind of jokes, right? That's talk about. I could have thought about that, making some jokes about grant money, but the purpose of this really is to inspire you and to give you a little bit of the energy that I share, that I have for grants and for funding of Montessori projects, which is very positive. And it's my belief that when we approach our dreams, our Montessori and other dreams, with the mindset that we can, we can do it, we can try. It doesn't hurt to try, and if we take a small step to try, who knows, maybe things start unraveling and developing and growing, and we start seeing opportunities, and opportunities actually start showing and revealing itself to us. We just need to open our mind to the fact that we can maybe achieve what we dream about. So I really do hope that on this day of fun and laughter and joy, as many people listen. We are the oldest grants. Yes. Oh, I love that. Oh my goodness. There's some fun going on my Instagram feed. Thank you for those. Those are really fun. Keep them coming, okay? While I talk about grants, hopefully I'll be able to actually share something while you're making all these jokes. Okay, so if you just joined on our social media, we are streaming this on Instagram, we are streaming this on Facebook, we are streaming it on YouTube, and also at our LinkedIn. And recordings are going to stay available on our social media, so you can always, if you missed this and you want to see the previous episodes of the series, you can go ahead and rewatch it. I have been talking about grant money for Montessori and for educational organizations since Wednesday last week. The idea was to have a live show every day in the morning until Thursday this week. There is going to be one in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I want to invite you to a live workshop, free workshop. Okay, let me show screen again so that those of you who are visual actually see the invitation. So the workshop is free, online, fully online. It's called Fund Your Montessori Dream. It starts in 2 days. And all of these live sessions that I do every day are an invitation to this workshop. I have information from my colleagues that we have over 500 people signed up already. So if you haven't signed up, don't miss this. Yeah, okay, I will answer this question. If you have questions, please ask them. You can, excuse me, you can leave a note. I am following Instagram questions and Facebook feed questions. So if you have some questions, please put them either on Instagram or on our Facebook. And oh my goodness, somebody woke up with a funny mood. So there's a lot of joking going on my Instagram feed, just that, you know, those of you who are on Facebook, so that you know what's happening there. Free workshop, Fund Your Montessori Dream. I think we chose a very lovely title for the workshop, and it's about finding money to start a project, or improving, or finding money to improve your already existing organization's financial stability, because grant money is and should be one of major tools that you use to build a multi-source revenue mix for your nonprofit or even for your business. So this actually is one of my core messages of the work that I've been doing for the past 2 or 3 years, is that if we Montessorians and educators in general want to build our organizations and our projects as financially stable, we have to learn how to create a multi-source revenue stream of money for our organizations. So this means getting money from fees, but also ability to get money from grants, also ability to do fundraising and provide other types of services, membership programs, and all kinds of things. So it's my expertise. I've been doing this for the past 20 years, and I'm now sharing it with you. And one of the topics is grant money. I am a skilled grant writer. I have raised quite a lot of money in grants for the past 20 years, and I do believe in grants. I believe that they can do good and they can help you. And so that's why I'm giving this free workshop on April 3rd at 5 o'clock Central European Time. On this website, when you click on this, it gives you a time zone, tool, so you can check what time is it for you in your time zone. We will talk about grants in general, and we will also talk about your particular grant ideas, and also how to find a funder who may want to give money directly to you. And then also I will share with you a framework or step-by-step process that we use to write our grant applications, which should help you to write your grant applications in a successful way. So you can register here. And then you can have a look at all of these. What are other things that you can benefit from? Okay. One of the things we'll talk about is what you can use grant money for today. So, and there are also here some testimonials of our students who actually got money after they've studied in our program. So having said that, I think I can end the invitation and we can dive into questions because I see some questions are already popping up on Instagram. I would like to challenge people watching on Facebook to also say something. I made a joke about this yesterday because I'm following 2 feeds on my one screen. Up here I have my Instagram, and here I see my Facebook feed. And somehow the Instagram people became very lively yesterday, and they said hello, and they answered my question, where are you joining from today? And it was very quiet on Facebook until I made a joke. And then I said, Facebook people, do you know where comments are? Do you even know where comments are? Maybe I need to do a tutorial on where comments are. And then Facebook people started answering as well. So I see there are people watching on Facebook, and I see they're watching people on Instagram. So let's do a little competition and see who can do a good job, whether Instagram followers or Facebook followers. Tell me, please, where are you joining from today? In comments. right now. Okay, let's see who's going to respond. I see some lively commenters on Instagram, so I'm waiting to see where are you joining from today. Please say hello in comments. I'd love to know, and I'll have my hello Connecticut, New York, Constanta, Romania. Thank you, Anka. Tanzania, East Africa, amazing. Welcome to the session. Facebook people are lagging again. I don't know. I should do some kind of a survey about this, about, do people know where comments are? Sometimes I wonder about that when I say the link to join the workshop is in bio, and then people ask me where bio is. So I started saying link for the workshop is in bio, and you can also find it in comments. Hello, Vanya. Greetings to Bulgaria. So nice to see you. And so for the Facebook friends also, if you've joined, please let me know where you are joining from. And let's go to questions, okay? So today the topic or the focus of the session could be called maybe the writing strategies, or a little peek into the writing skills and all of those things. And I have two big questions already, and then one comment that I want to address. And we are talking about grants, obviously. And if you're with us for the first time, just one more last reminder: all of the previous sessions are on this social media feed. You can go back. I talk about what are grants and how grants can be helpful to Montessori organizations or to educational organizations. So you can always go back and rewatch, so that you know what I'm talking about today if you're interested in this. So here are the questions, and these come from a survey. So these are questions that actually you asked me. I was so happy to see all of those questions. I'm always going to do that from now on. Ask people in a survey, what are your questions? What are your concerns about something and something? Because I got so many insights from you what to address. So the question, is it time consuming? And do you need a financial expert or legal expert to write a grant application? Question number one. How do I find the time to apply for grants as a busy educator? Maybe I'll even start with that one. And then I want to talk about a comment that my dear colleague Plamena, who is my partner in grant writing at Montessori Institute Prague, made yesterday on our social media feed. She said applying for grants can become an experience which brings so much more than just the money. And I thought, wow, such an insight. And I want to talk about that too. So those are coming up. Okay, and let me just split screen here so I can see both the questions and the feed. All right. Okay, so let's start with, how do I find the time to apply for grant money as a busy educator? Okay, and let me just see, why am I want to go like this. There's something with the way I'm viewing. Okay, there. Okay, I had a little glitch here, so this is going to be better. How do I find the time to apply for grants as a busy educator? How do I even find the time? Sometimes, I think when you become an entrepreneur, when you start a project, or you're thinking about starting a project of any kind, a school, we always go through the list of what are all the projects that we can start. We, at the beginning of our journey, we have all these roles, right? So we are the founder, we are the person to go to the post office, we are the cleaner, we are the marketing manager, we are the financial manager. We have to do all the jobs. We are the website person, we are the social media person, especially those things around financial management and marketing. We do at the beginning, we have to do those things ourselves. So it's true that at the beginning of our journeys, this is the situation, and it's a very good idea. One of the things that I recommend is to from the start to start keeping track of all the tasks and areas and activities that we have to do in order to take our project off the ground, because then later that becomes your organizational structure. And when you know who will you need in the future, you are going to more likely get to the point that you actually have other people on your team. But at the beginning, when we have no money, we can't hire anybody. I was there. Yes, yes, yes. We all are. We have all kinds of hats to wear daily. And I spent I think probably 3/4 of the 2 decades of my work, because I'm now soon going to be 20 years in the business of Montessori. I think 2/3 of that time I spent doing multiple things and wearing multiple hats, like our friend here comments. And so I want to say it's normal. And in a way, when I am today, finally, after all these years, in a situation when I have an amazing team, and we are a small team. We are, off the top of my head, 6, 7 people, something like this. I have somebody who takes care of finances. My colleague Plamena is my partner in crime when it comes to grants. We have a marketing team. I feel like it was a good thing for me to go through that experience, because I know what they are talking about when they're talking about social media and when they're talking about marketing, grants, finances. I've done the work myself, so I have some sense of what we need to do and all of those things. So it's a good thing, and it's part of the journey that we have to learn to do all these things before we are able to have a team. So I do think that when you want to start a project and you are a beginning entrepreneur, or even if you are already an experienced leader, head of a school, and you want to diversify your funding portfolio, which means you want to have more sources of money, in plain language, more sources of revenue, or more sources of money outside of just funding, outside of just fees. You do have to put in some work to get a sense of what grant money can do, and get a sense of how we can apply for grant money. But it does not necessarily mean that you have to continually do that on your own. I think once you get a sense, once you get convinced that yes, grants can help you, and if you haven't seen my talk with Mirka yesterday, go ahead and rewatch that. That's a live show that I did yesterday in the afternoon, again, available on our social media. I had an amazing guest, Hanka Chramostová, the head of the Montessori school in Prague, which I founded. She's now the head of the school. And she talked about all the things that grant money can pay for, including teacher salaries and a community project and marketing expense and all of those things. It's a rather interesting conversation that we had. And she, when she was at the beginning of her journey, we knew that she's going to have to learn a lot of these things herself, and that her most important part in this, and this is what I'm trying to say for you, this is the important part, to include raising money from grants into the financial strategy of the school. And when the head of the school makes that mental switch, mindset switch, that yes, we are going to do this, it is important because we can have 3% of our revenue from grants, for example, and we can pay for 2 people of the staff from grants money, then you will always find a way. And one of the things that Hanka did was, first of all, the first grant applications for the school, we wrote together. And then when she saw how much the grant money can help her with the financial situation of the school, she founded for herself a colleague, and she hired an expert who is a parent at our school, and she works part-time for the school, and she constantly researches grant calls, and she has, she's the person creating the grant writing strategy. She writes all these applications. She talks to the team about what are their funding needs, and she helps Hanka with this. So you don't have to think, if you are already a busy Montessori entrepreneur, that you have to do this yourself forever. But it's a really good idea to get acquainted with what grants are and what they can do for you, to open the door to the opportunities that are coming your way if you start thinking about applying for grant money, and then you will see what happens. And we know, if you are an entrepreneur or a Montessori leader or a Montessorian with a growth mindset, you know that opportunities present itself to you when you open your mind and you start looking for them. So that's how we approach the matter. And also so that's one part of the answer to the question, how do I find the time to apply for grants as a busy educator? And hello, Hanka Slaba. I see Hanka joined us on Instagram, and I see Dinushi came, LNU. So nice to have you, everybody. When you join, please say hello where you're joining from, okay? I'm interested to know where people are from, who are with me. And we have people from Bulgaria, from Romania, and then people from the US, and many other people. Connecticut, we already said that. Prague, yes. Well, so lovely to have you and to be spending morning with you again, talking about this fun matter, that topic that grants are. The second part of the question, of the answer to the question, how do I find the time to apply for grants as a busy educator, is that when you start looking, hello to Sri Lanka, nice to have you, Dinushi. When you start looking into how to write a grant application, you are going to find out that a lot of the things that the grant funders ask you about are things that you already either know in your head, or you have them already created, written down, and somewhere you can go to copy and paste. Because there are always sections in the grant application that ask about your mission, your vision, your values, where do you want to go, what are the activities that you provide, who are the people on your team, what is your expertise, and what is your history. Okay, and I just described about half of any grant application that you are going to ever encounter. We often have these things on the website. We can have some of these texts here and there. It's my experience usually is that when I start talking about this, people say, oh, I have this, but let me find it. And oh, I have that, and that's on our website, and I've written that for a presentation of the story of our school. I'll look it up. And then you realize that you have these things here and there and everywhere. But what's really important is for your own practice, and it's one of the ways you can make your work so much more efficient, is that you create a folder. I don't know, in your marketing folder or in your business plan folder, in your grant writing folder, it doesn't matter. It could be like a core folder, something like that. And you have these texts, copied in, written in this folder. So we use Google Drive, and we have a folder like this, and we have texts about us, about each member of the team, about our activities, we describe all our programs, and we have it in a Word format, our history and all of those things. Because as you go through your journey, you realize that you need these things all the time. Okay, you need these texts all the time for presentations, to talk to parents, to share with colleagues, to go to your local municipality to talk to the mayor about what you're planning to do. If you are a beginning Montessori entrepreneur, you need to write a business plan. Those texts are going to be part of your business plan. And you can use all of these generic core texts for business plans, for grant applications, for presentations, for marketing, for these are like your core ideas and core messages that you need to have written down, so that you can share them. And when you have this in one place, you always know where to go. you can always improve on these texts on a continual basis. One of the things that you also want to do is to have pictures, photos, and videos in one place like this, because usually whenever you present something, and be it in a business plan or in a grant application or in a PowerPoint presentations, you're always going to go and look for those beautiful photos. And you're going to think, okay, so where's that photo I took in the 3 to 6 class the other day? That was that child. And then you have your core set of photos that you can reuse all the time. So it makes it very efficient. So you do have, how do you find the time to apply for grants as a busy Montessori educator? You already had done a lot of this work, and you need to go to your files and pull it out and start collecting these things in one place so that you can use it for your grant writing, okay? And then the second part of the job, I talked about the mission, the vision, and all of those things. The second part of the job is the future, looking forward. This is what we want to do, and this is how we want to help. Relates to the people whom you serve. So that's your target audience or your clients, target group, whatever you want to call them. And what are their needs? And what can you do to help them to satisfy their needs? What are their burning problems, and what are the activities that you offer in order to help them? And that's the second part that you use for your grant application. And you also need to have these things written down. This in grant language would be called the needs analysis. And all it is you sitting down and thinking about your people. What is it that they need and how you can help them, and writing it down, okay? And that goes in the grant application as well. And then when that is done, the last part is the budget and some other things, indicators of success. And we will talk a little bit more about that on Thursday in the free workshop. So you can, if you want to get a sense of what a grant application entails, you can come on Thursday and I will share about that. The purpose is to show you and encourage you that it's not a whole load of new work that kind of ends up on your back if you decide to apply for a grant, okay? It's more the type of a work when you're pulling things together into one place and into one beautiful idea and a project plan, but things that are already in your head. And I bet that I'm very sure that you have these ideas in your head already. You know where you want to go, how you want your school to develop, what are the possible other things that you could do if you had more money. So those are the ideas that you want to continue think about and continue to grow and continue to develop. And you can use grant money for that. So if you're still with me, I would like to get some feedback from you on how does this sound. Is this encouraging for you in terms of the, you imagine it's a load of work, and I'm saying, maybe you already did half of that work and you just don't know it. So I would like for you to put a note in comments so that I get some feedback if you feel like I answered the question. So let me know, please, in comments. Does applying for grants still, after what you have heard, sound like a huge, impossible load of work? Or maybe you changed your perspective after you heard what I just shared. Let's see. Does applying for grants feel like a huge load of work still after what I just shared? So if you're with me, please let me know, okay? Does applying for grants still feel like a huge load of work after you heard what I just shared? Okay, I'm curious. And I can, in the meantime, talk about, okay, do you need a financial or a legal expert to apply for grants? Adding to the existing load. Well, yes, Anka, thank you so much for answering. I You know me. I think you already have a great sense of what it is to apply for a grant, and you already have some experience with that. Sometimes my experience is that when we begin the day or our entrepreneurial journey by approaching the big things, by thinking about the big things and doing the big work, the small work either doesn't even happen or it gets resolved. So, yes. Okay, I didn't see. Putting everything in writing seems difficult. Not huge, but still a lot to do. Yes. Yes. And it can be, you don't, I think I'm not saying to go and say, okay, let's take a day and write everything down right now, but maybe more looking for small things that you have written before because you already have described your project. You've created flyers before, and you've written up your um, activities and services, and you wrote a section about yourself before. You have all of that written down. So the important part is to keep it stored in your folders in a Word document, not just like a PDF that in Canva or wherever you are creating your work, to centralize all of this and start putting it into one place. And then over time, when you do this, whenever you write something and you think, oh, I could reuse this again because this looks like part of my core message or part of the description of my project and whatever, you have those things in one place. And over time, you realize that you actually have all of that written up. So maybe start by looking and pulling together things that you had already done. You could create a table in Excel. Yeah. You could create a table in Excel, like of all the texts that you need. Maybe, Anka, we can talk about that tomorrow at Montessori Entrepreneurs. I could create a little table of things that you need. And I'll show you also how I keep track of my social media work in a table where then everything is in one place. When you need it to recycle it again in the future, you can do that. So let's look at that tomorrow. I always try to direct you in a way of taking small steps rather than going and sitting down and, okay, let's write a business plan today, or let's write all the texts for a grant application today. Small, tiny steps, and always being aware of the work you had already done. This is so important, and it's one of the things that, before I start writing anything or doing anything, I always think, let's take a moment and let's see, maybe we have done this before. Where is it? How was it successful? How did it, what did people say? Do we have any reflections on what we have done before we start doing things again? So that's a very useful habit of a Montessori entrepreneur. To answer the question, do you need a financial expert or a legal expert to write a grant application? Absolutely not. If you've listened to this talk today, I already answered that question by saying that a lot of, at the end of the day, so I will share this, okay, maybe from practice. I've worked with people who wrote grant applications for us before, and some of those grant applications were hugely successful. One of our biggest grants was written together with a colleague who is a grant writing expert, and I don't think we would have gotten the grant if she wasn't part of the grant writing team. It was our biggest grant. We got 760,000 euros for creating a network of Montessori schools in the whole country. But that was a 3-year huge project, and I felt like having an expert, a paid expert on the team is going to make a difference, okay? But when you're starting with small grant applications and you're applying for garden reconstruction, for creating a community outside of your school, for building a parent and child program, to support parents in their parenthood journey, those are smaller types of grant applications, and you can do that yourself. And if you can, you're free to hire an expert. But what you're going to experience, and maybe if I can spare you the journey, is that they're going to ask you for these texts anyway. They're going to tell you, this is the structure of the grant application. What activities do you want to do? Please describe those to me. What is your history? What is your expertise? What is your mission? What is your vision? What are your values? And you're going to end up writing those texts anyway, because nobody from outside of your organization knows these things. So I dare to say that even if you never apply for a grant ever in your life, you are going to end up writing these texts anyway. Okay, so because we need to talk about our work, we need to even think about our expertise. We need to know, what is our expertise? Who are the people on our team? We need to communicate that to the world. So you are going to write majority of these texts anyway. You're going to create budgets. You're going to think about the needs of your target group. You are already doing this work. So all I am inviting you to do is join me and start using that work and for getting more money for your work. Okay. And again, you can come on Thursday for the workshop. The link, I'm going to put the link in comments so that we have it there in case you want to join. I want to, before I finish, because I'm over time, but I will, if you bear with me for 3 more minutes, address what I wanted to address, what my darling colleague Plamena said, which I thought was such an amazing insight. And I think it kind of wraps up what I just shared. Applying for grants can be an experience which can bring so much more to you than just the grant money. My dear colleague Plamena Koleva said this. She's my colleague from Montessori Institute Prague, and she is a co-grant enthusiast, or she's a grant enthusiast the same way I am. And I think this so wonderfully summarizes how we want to approach this whole thing related to grants. Obviously, when you decide to start researching grant opportunities and when you decide to start applying for grants, your focus and your target is to, your goal is to get grant money. But if you manage to approach the matter with a mindset of a person who wants to learn something new, who wants to experience something that you didn't experience before. And for example, if you approach the work the way I just described, let's just create a library of all our work in texts and let's use that for grant writing, then the whole writing and the whole applying and the whole waiting for the decision experience can be so much more than just asking for the money. You can develop your skills of collaboration with your colleagues. You can develop your marketing texts library. You can develop your picture and video library. You can develop your skills how to create budgets and how to think of money. There are so many wonderful things that you learn and develop when you start writing for grant applications that you need for your other work anyway. So I loved this quote, and it's going to become part of my messaging about grants. And thank you, Plummy, for saying that on our social media. All right. I could talk forever, but it's the beginning of the day, and we all have things to do also, other things to do outside of learning about grants. So I have my morning coffee here. It is the 1st of April, which is the International Day of Jokes and Fun and Laughter. So happy International April Fool's Day to all of you. Go to our social media to check out our prank, because we do have a prank on our social media. And I will be here again tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I'm going to be talking about, hello to Kazakhstan. Yes. So nice to see you. I will be talking about what are all the costs and expenses that can be paid from grant money and how to go about that. Hanka shared yesterday that she can pay usually about 2 people from grant money, 2 people on her school staff. People were quite surprised that this is possible. So I'm going to be talking about how to think of grant funding in a way which can satisfy the already existing funding needs. How can you cover the already existing funding needs that you have right now as a school or as an organization or even an entrepreneur? Okay, so we will be talking about this tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I'll be back here at 9 a.m. Central European Time, and I hope that I will see everybody who went in and out of these sessions with me on Thursday at the workshop. Okay? So thank you. Good morning, grant lovers. I hope this was inspiring, and I will see you tomorrow. Love you as always. Bye.